Hello everyone and welcome back. So in today's video, we'll be talking about network documentation, right? Network documentation. As you see on the screen, we have untangling the web, a Zen path to network documentation. Documentation for newbies, basically. So it is for when you inherit chaos and still have to look smart while doing it, right? So we're going to be talking about how to document your network and ensure that everything is accounted for. So this is going to be some sort of introduction, right? And then in the coming weeks, we would have other parts of this series. I would upload them on my YouTube channel. So let's dive right into it. My name is Kenneth and let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be covering a few areas in this series, right? We're going to be covering things like introduction to network documentation, tools of the trade. This would be commands, softwares, application devices that would need to document our network, right? And creating a basic network diagram. And that one is documenting IP addresses, IPAM. And that one is documenting devices, documenting configuration, documenting services, documenting network changes, right? We're going to be documenting vendors and service providers. And we're also going to be documenting knowledge, which is what we learn as we operate our network, as we use our network. We're going to be documenting all of that. So, I'm going to be introducing you to the key concepts, as I always do, the key concepts that would help you document your network. Not so much so about the softwares or the commands or the devices that you need to ensure your network is documented, but the key concepts that, irrespective of the tool that you're using, irrespective of the software or application or platform that you're using to document your network, once you know these key concepts, you can implement them across any platform, across any software, across any application. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to be talking about introduction to network documentation. If it is not documented, it doesn't exist. This is a very popular saying in IT. If you don't document it, it doesn't exist, right? So ensure you document. Next thing we're going to be looking at is what is network documentation and why it matters, right? Your network engineer just quit, or an ISP circuit goes down, or something unexpected happens on your way to work, or happens to one of your support or network IT staff. What do you do then if your network is not documented, right? It's practically going to be a lot of trouble, a lot of troubleshooting, and a lot of chaos, right? So what is network documentation and why does it matter? A structured record of your network's design, assets, configurations, and policies. That's what a network documentation is. It's structured. It's a record of your network design, your assets, your configurations, and policies. Another one is it includes diagrams and spreadsheets, backups, asset lists, and procedures. Not spreadsheets as per Excel or Google Sheets, but you have lots of tables, lots of rows and columns that, where you'll be putting in items, addresses, devices, and things like that, right? You're going to have backups, right? A documentation about where are the backups when they are needed. When was this backup done? How can we restore backup when needed? So a lot of that. And we have asset list. What is asset list? So assets are your IT devices most of the time, right? From your switches to your routers to your firewall devices to your proxy servers to your web servers to your UPS, power supply devices, and all of that. So those are your assets. Another one is procedures. So procedures are a step-by-step guide of how you would want things to be achieved, right? So you should have a document that shows step-by-step guide. How do we create access lists? How do we assign people to groups? How do we give group policies? How do we assign new IT work tools, laptops, headsets, things like that? How do we assign them? How do we document that we've assigned those things, right? So it's a living document. A network documentation is a living document. It's not a once done and it's done thing, right? It's a living document. So what do I mean by a living document? It must be updated regularly and it must be in a central location where anyone who has to update it, on who has the rights to update it, should be able to update it as at when needed. and even applications, APIs, and automations that you've set in place to update it should also have access to it. Now, a few things you must note about network documentation is central, right? It's irrespective of how many locations you're running, how many IT infrastructures, branches, remote offices you have. It's a central document that, you know, has all these locations and all of that accounted for, right? So another one, it must be accessible. So anyone who should be able to update it should be able to update it. Any other person who should only be able to view it and not make updates, should also be able to just view and not make updates. So it should be accessible to whoever needs it. Next one is it should be updated regularly, and then it should be secure as well. So we're going to move on to the next thing. Why network documentation is critical. One very important use of of network documentation is faster troubleshooting. Have you ever tried troubleshooting a network that you're new to and there's no documentation? It's You're doing more of learning the network within the first few minutes to a few hours than troubleshooting, right? If you're documenting DHCP issues, if you're troubleshooting DHCP issues, if you're troubleshooting routing issues, if you're troubleshooting policy issues or things like access control list and all of that, you don't know source, you don't know the destination, you don't know the policy, you don't know whatever, nothing is documented. So you're going to have to learn it first before you troubleshoot. So it's very important to have a network documented so that you'll be able to have effective troubleshooting. Next one is compliance and audits. Sometimes in some businesses, in some sectors, you are required to submit, documentation of your network or documentation of certain implementations on your network. So it's important to have them at hand so that you don't start rushing when those documents are required of you. Another one is incident response, right? It is very important to have a documented network for you to effectively respond to incidents, right? If you don't have a good documentation of your network when incidents occur, you wouldn't know who is responsible for what. You wouldn't know where to start troubleshooting. You wouldn't know who to assign tasks to. So it is important to have a good documentation that would, in other words, be an input for your incidents response processes, so that during uh, failures, failovers, and things like this, everyone knows what they are supposed to be doing at each and every point in time. Another one is change management, right? When you're changing to new platforms, upgrading, when software's equipment come to end of life, it is good to have them documented. It is good to have them documented so that you know what to remove, what to discontinue, the next thing to move on to, that is the next software, the next device, the next application, the next update to move on to, and things like that. So it's good to have your documentation available in case of changes that would occur in your infrastructure or your network or your company as well. Another one is onboarding junior talent or junior tech. It is very important. It helps you scope the responsibilities that will be assigned to your junior tech, right? So when you recruit them into your organization and you want them to specifically be responsible for such and such, if you have a good network documentation, that will be able to you'll be able to show them what their responsibility is within that network documentation or within that IT documentation. You'll be able to show them where their responsibility starts, where it ends, and so they know what they have to do each time there's an incident, each time there's a failure, whatever, they know what they are responsible for. So it's very important for junior tech, and it makes the process a whole lot faster because you see they come in and they are sitting idle. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. So it's really important to have your documentation in place for onboarding junior tech or talent. Next one is, what should you document? So there are lots of things to document. Obviously, this series wouldn't go through every single thing, but I'll go through the key concepts and help you understand what you're supposed to be documenting. So we're going to be talking about IPAM, how to document IP addresses, device, inventory, and serials. Those are very important. VLANs and subnets, interfaces, port and their mapping, topology diagrams, credential policy, um, backup and recovery, um, documents. You should also have a documentation on how you do backups, how you do recovery, and all of that. And also vendor contacts, very, very important. You should document vendor contacts so that new intakes or new tech or new talent know who to contact when there's a certain failure. Let's say your ISP circuit fails, they know who to contact to get that back up. So it is very important to have your vendor contacts documented. The next thing we're going to be looking at is what you get after proper documentation. So these are the joys. This is the fun of having done good documentation. So after you've done good documentation, you obviously will have your IPAM document, how your IP addresses are assigned across multiple locations, across multiple buildings, and all of that. Next one is you're going to have proper diagram, proper topology diagram. This would help your uh, colleagues, your line reports, your line managers understand. Everybody understands where their responsibility is. Asset management. You also have a good overview of your assets that are operational, assets that are near end of life, assets that are to be disposed, and all of that. From this same asset management document, finance, procurement, accounting can get certain information that they require from this same document. Information like costs, information like uh, when was this device purchased, or when are we due to purchase additional devices and stuff like that. So um, next one is service management documents. So between you and your contractors, this is very, very important as well. Vendor information. So once you've done good documentation, you have your vendor information, their service level agreement, their contact numbers, emails, and all of that. Another one is FAQs and how to's. Very, very important. If you've done good documentation, you should have issues that frequently occur, that have occurred in the past, issues that, occur within your organization. You would have documented them in an FAQ. New tech would not need to go to their boss to interrupt them to find out how to fix a certain issue. They can easily search in the FAQ and find out how to fix whatever issue that comes up. Then if it's not there, when they fix it, they can also document it in the FAQ. Change log, how, you're going to change from, let's say, from one system to another, how you change from one service to another, and all of that. Service level agreements, we've talked about that. Backup and recovery documentations, we've spoken about that as well. Now, coming up in this series, we're going to be taking a look at tools of the trade. That's the tools that we'll be using in documentation. We're going to talk about how to diagram a network. We're going to talk about how to document switch ports and VLANs. We're going to talk about how to automate documentation as well, and how documentation is automated in production environments, and a whole lot more. So I would encourage you to stay tuned and watch out for the next video. It's going to be packed with a lot of value. It's going to be packed with a lot of content, a lot of things that will help you in your current role, a lot of things that will help you secure your next role as well. So always thank you for watching. If this video has been insightful to you, please do drop a comment, share, repost, and consider subscribing to the channel so that you get updates whenever I release another part of this series. So thank you once again for watching, and catch you on the next one.